All right, gentlemen, we're going to move right swiftly ahead here. Jimmy, you get the honor of going first and introducing yourself. 1.5 minutes.
I told people when they set this, I don't think so. When they set this up, they didn't set it up for an Italian. Okay, because I can't sit down. Do you think you want the mic? I'm just afraid I'm going to blow you away with my voice. This isn't set up because it's almost like telling an Italian he can't use his hands when he talks. So I hope you don't mind that I'm standing here. My name is James Angelino and I'm running for judge at Collin County Court of Law number 7. And what I'd like to tell you is why I'm running for this bench. You know, people ask me, Jimmy, why did you want to go for a misdemeanor bench? And I said, because this is where I think that a judge could make the most difference. All my life I have tried to get positions where I can make a difference. And I will tell you that my military duty, where I was able to defend soldiers who had PTSD, TBI, had substance abuse problems, has changed my thinking on crime and punishment. I firmly believe that a judge can make a difference on people who come in front of them. I have been lucky to see judges who care about people, who are able to see that they're not just a criminal in front of them, that they're a human being, trying to see that person who might be at the fork in the road, where he's going one way or the other. I think I can make a difference. I think I can put that person on the straight and narrow and make them a good member of society. I feel I have the background and the education and the diverse experience to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. And David?
Hi, everybody. I'm David Waddill, for those of you who don't know me. The very first judge in Collin County history was a Waddill. His name was R.L. Waddill. His portrait is hanging in the courthouse. He served, believe it or not, from 1860 to 1865. So he was the judge of Collin County during the Civil War. He rode a horse. He covered 11 different counties. Collin County was his home base, and that's where he lived. That's the street in Collin County is named after him. But he was out on the horse in some bad weather, got pneumonia, and died a young man. There is a house over near Church Street that was his daughter's house. She married a guy named Morrison. I think 150 years is long enough. So here's my service to the community. I was a DA in Collin County for 22 years. That was after I graduated law school. I went to work at the Court of Appeals, and I worked for the Chief Justice of the 6th Court. That's like a 4th-year law school. So then I went, Tom O'Connell hired me as the, you've heard his name a couple of times tonight. As an assistant district attorney, I worked my way all the way up from the very bottom, where you start, all the way up to first assistant when I left the office. I have done every kind of case that there is. This court, this County Court of Law number 7, it is a criminal court about 80 to 90% of the time. But I've also done the civil, the appellate, and I've also done condemnations, which this court does, and I've also done civil. So I have the most experience, the broadest range of experience. I'm going to ask for your vote for County Court of Law number 7. I have a website, davidwaddill.com. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, on now with the questions. The first question that we have, Jimmy, you go get the first question. What do you envision are the greatest challenges for this new court, and how will you deal with them?
Of course, because of the size of our county and how our county is growing, the greatest challenge is going to be your docket. We have so many cases, you can't, there's becoming a very, very big backup. Now, what I propose to do about that is, first of all, make sure that when I have a docket at 8:30, that I'm there ready to work, and that people don't have to sit around and wait for me. Depending on how big the docket is, the regular docket, because most people don't know, most of your cases are done by plea bargain. So most of the cases, the judge really has nothing to do with. So I'm going to try to have two, depending on how backed up the cases are, have 2 dockets a day. So we can get those cases in front of the judge, have the attorneys working on them, and clear the docket as quick as possible. Now in the trial docket, I'm going to make sure that the attorneys follow how many resets we have, because as you've heard before, a lot of times attorneys are the ones who ensure that cases continue to go on and on and on. And then we'll try at least two cases a week. And if we have 3, we can have a trial on a Monday, we can have a trial on a Wednesday, and possibly a bench trial during the other times.
Thank you very much. David, let me read the question again. What do you envision are the greatest challenges for this new court, and how will you deal with them?
Well, here's something you probably won't hear too much of tonight. I agree with every single thing Mr. Angelino just said. It's going to require, because of the growth of the county, it's going to require a judge who's there, that the lawyers know what judges they can get away with stuff and when they can't. They know what judges they have to be ready when they're called to court, and what judges they can go up and say, you know, Judge, I'm not feeling that great. So just like Jimmy said, I'm ready to work and put those lawyers' feet to the fire. The other thing that's going to happen up here is the growth of the county has greatly increased the number of these condemnation cases. And believe it or not, the county courts of law are the exclusive jurisdiction of condemnation cases. That's when municipalities and other agencies from the state try to take your property or put an easement across your property. I'm the only candidate in the race who's had any experience with condemnation. I've had over 3 dozen condemnation cases where I was special commissioner, and I know what those cases require. So I'll be able to handle those cases. And then the civil cases, they aren't very many, but I do have an extensive civil background, and those cases need to be addressed. They need to be addressed quickly, and the lawyers need to be told that they need to come to an agreement. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Now, David, I want you to hold on to that microphone because I'm going to have you address the next question as well. As the courts in Collin County hear various types of cases, please discuss your experience in the civil, criminal, and family law. You've touched on it a little bit, so I'll let you expand on it.
All right. There isn't any family law in the county courts at all. They don't have any jurisdiction over family law. So that isn't going to happen. The civil cases, when I was in law school, I worked all 3 years in a civil firm. One of the biggest firms in Lubbock. I worked in Crenshaw, Dupree, and Milam, and all they did there was civil. It's like you heard before, $1 million more before they'd even touch a case. They were big law firm in Lubbock. When I left there, I went to work for the Court of Appeals, and at the Court of Appeals, it's about 90% civil. And so for the year that I worked in the Court of Appeals, we did 3 or 4 cases a week where we researched the law, wrote the opinions, and then heard arguments from the attorneys. So I had the experience in the civil. Also, in the DA's office, it's not a well-known fact, but they do have a civil division, and they handle forfeitures of property that's used in an illegal manner, and I worked in that for many years. And also, as far as the civil, I went to work after I left the DA's office with Mr. Jim Skinner, and he and I were partners, and we had a firm that did civil and criminal. And then after we went back to Michael Pazzuli's firm, we had a firm that did mostly civil. So I've done a great deal of experience with both of those, as well as the condemnation and landlord-tenant. Thank you.
All right, thanks very much, sir. I appreciate that. Jimmy, the question for you again is, as the courts in Collin County hear various types of cases, please discuss your experience in civil, criminal, and family law.
David doesn't know, but I have defended condemnation cases in Dallas County and Denton County. But 99% of my caseload are criminal cases. I've had between 400 and 500 jury trials, and I will tell you that I have at least 2 to 3 times the amount of experience and trials in the cases that are going to be heard in this case, in this court, that my opponent does. I was a DWI prosecutor. 90% of our trials in the Collin County Court of Law number 7 are going to be DWIs. There is nobody in this room who's done more DWIs, know more about DWIs than I do. I have had some civil, Joe, but not much. I've had it probably about 15 years ago. I've also had federal, military, I've done military civil law and military criminal law. But I've done, there's nobody who has more experience in the cases that this court hears than I do.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right, now, Jimmy, you will answer this question again, so you can start off on this one. All right, what do you feel is the one quality you bring to this office that sets you apart from the other candidates running for court number 7?
And the one quality that I have is the experience in the military. I will tell you that there's nothing has changed my view of criminal law than when I got the opportunity to defend soldiers who were 19 to 25 years old, putting their lives on the line for our country, and end up getting PTSD, TBI, becoming drug addicts, who do minor crimes, and I was able to help them, protect them. Also, I'm very, very proud of my defense experience, because if I didn't have that defense experience, I wouldn't know what soldiers go through. I wouldn't have had the opportunity to meet Colonel West. I wouldn't have had the opportunity to help on his defense team. I wouldn't have the opportunity to change my view and realize that when somebody sits in front of you as a judge, that's not a criminal, that's a person. That's somebody who you could help, okay? I think that has given me empathy, which I didn't have when I was a prosecutor. When I was a prosecutor, first came out, I didn't believe in mental health problems. I didn't believe in substance abuse problems. But because of what I've seen and what I've dealt with, and I've seen the best and I've seen the worst of people, in person, not on TV. And I think that would help me when I'm sitting in front of somebody who's maybe committed a crime for the first time.
Thank you very much. David, let me allow me to read the question for you one more time. What do you feel is the one quality you bring to this office that sets you apart from the other candidates running for court setting?
Well, Jimmy's right. I don't have any experience in the military. I have really very poor vision, but I do thank you for your service, and I do appreciate it. What I do have is a variety of experiences that are directly applicable to the County Court of Law, number one. First of all, I'm one of the only lawyers in the county that is certified by the state of Texas in DWI and drug court treatment. And so I would be able to, on day one, this is the matter that you heard maybe today when you're driving over here in the news. They want another $1 billion in the federal budget to do drug treatment. I've taken the time on my own dime. I went to Austin and trained for a week, went out to Lubbock and trained for a week, and so I'm ready to start a DWI drug court program immediately with no cost to the taxpayer. So that's one thing that sets me apart. The other is, although I may not have tried as many DWIs as Mr. Angelino, I've certainly tried more than a few. With 22 years in the Collin County DA's office, my specialty was violent crime. And violent crime almost always goes to trial because the wrecks are so high. And I have tried more serious felons than anybody. It's just my background and experience sets me apart from Mr. Angelino. Thank you.
All right, thanks very much. All right, and the next question here, let's see here. Your, David, you have to answer this one first.
Yes, sir.
You are running for this office as a Republican. Please detail your past involvement with the Collin County Republican Party.
My involvement with the party began here in Collin County when I was hired by Mr. O'Connell, who was an elected official. It was his term back. He had switched parties from Democrat to Republican. Ran as a Republican, and the second person that he hired was me. That would have been in 1987. So from that time on, I was always involved in some race, and it was always as someone helping some Republican. I've been the precinct chair for, 3 different times for 3 different party chairmen who all called on me to be precinct chair. I was never run, I was appointed. So I did the precinct chair 3 times, helped run the election judge, did those things for the party. I have never run though before. I've always helped other people in other races that were Republicans. I've never voted Democrat, I've always voted Republican. I'm proud to be a Republican. I like the party. I like what they stand for. I like the family values. I like the faith aspect of the Republican Party. In the overall scheme of things, this might be important to you. I live with a Republican judge. It's my wife, Green Mason. So we live and breathe this stuff. And our kids over the Christmas holidays, they'd come home. They didn't go to parties. They didn't go do stuff with their friends. We barely saw any movies. Guess what we did? Me and the kids went and walked neighborhoods, door to door. That's what we did over Christmas. I'm a Republican.
Thank you very much. Jimmy, let me ask you the same question. You are running for this office as a Republican. Please detail your past involvement with the Collin County Republican Party.
Well, first of all, people see a New Yorker and can't believe that he's always been a Republican. I come from Nassau County, which is the strongest Republican party in New York. Moved to Texas, lived in Plano, have always voted Republican, has always been a Republican. I'm a member of the Collin County Republican Men's Club and have been a member for years. Right now, I'm actually one of the vice presidents, but I'm suspended because I can't run for something and be part of the party. I have donated to Republicans, and I feel I'm a good Republican. I have run before, and anybody who knows, I ran for DA 6 years ago, and I was very, very proud when I ran there. And Judge Willis will be able to tell that is that I believe in Ronald Reagan's 11th Amendment. Okay, I never spoke bad, even though the other person that was in the race wanted me to attack Greg Lewis. I refused to. And when I lost in the primary, all the police officers that backed me, I ensured that they went and backed Judge Willis. And I actually took him personally, drove him down to Dallas with the Dallas Police Association and got him a check for $500 from him. I firmly, and it's just like if David wins, he will have my backing. That's what a good Republican does. He stays for his party, and whoever that candidate is, he supports him.
Thank you very, very much. All right, the last question I have for the two of you, and
I think it's me.
Jimmy, you're going to start, okay? How will your personal values influence the decisions you will make should you be elected to your bench?
I think it's very important for a judge to use his values when he's on the bench. Now, as we both know and as attorneys know, okay, a lot of times the judge is not involved in what goes on in the court. A lot of it is done between the defense attorney and the prosecution. Where I think that my values will come into play is because of my experience, because of what I have done. I have a bunch of empathy that I never had. I believe that when somebody is sitting in front of me, that they're a person, not a criminal. I believe that if I can, I'm going to help that person go the right way. This is a misdemeanor court. You get people who, hopefully they're the first time, might be on that road where, you know, they can either go either way. And I think because of my values and because of my experience, I can help that person and keep them on the right and narrow path, to make them a good citizen of Collin County, and to ensure that they're not going to be in that courtroom again unless they're on jury duty.
Thank you very much. All right, I'll read the question now for you, David. Okay, you're running for this office as a Republican. Please detail your past involvement with the Collin County Republican Party.
That was the last one, Judge.
Okay, then let's go on to the other. How will your personal values influence the decisions you will make should you be elected to the bench? And by the way, I saw this happen in one of the forums, something like that. Geez, that'll never happen to me. It does happen. So
I couldn't hear the question.
I'll read that question again. How will your personal values influence the decisions you will make should you be elected to this office?
Well, when I was seeking Kathy Adams' endorsement, I got on the phone with her, and we didn't know each other, but we started talking about what my judicial philosophy would be if I'm elected, if I'm lucky enough to get elected. And she said, well, what do you think is important? You've been in a lot of courts, you've been in a lot of trials. And I told her this, I said, the judge needs to respect everyone in the courtroom, and respect their positions, and not take a position until he's heard everything they have to say. And not just the participants of the lawyers. Your chance of serving jury duty in Collin County is way higher that you're going to be in a county court of law than you're going to be in a district court, just because of the sheer numbers. It's 5 times more cases that get tried by juries in Collin County courts of law. So if you come up for jury duty, you get that little card in the mail, and you come up to visit us, the likelihood is you're going to be going to a county court of law. And what she and I talked about with her 2 experiences in Dallas. She had one experience that was very bad because the judge didn't care about the jury, didn't care about the participants. What that judge cared about was himself. And then she went and had a jury trial in front of Susan Hawk, who's now the district attorney in Dallas. And she said, what a joy and what a mind changer it was to me. She goes, I never wanted to be on jury duty again, and now I'll go anytime they call me because it can be a great experience. I respect every participant in that courthouse and every participant in that courtroom. If you're on the jury, I will respect your time and your prior commitments. And if you're a witness, same thing. And if you're a lawyer, the same thing. And if you ask anybody in the courthouse, they'll tell you the same.
Thank you very much. Very good. All right, well now it is time for us to do our closing statement. You get 1 minute, and David, you get to go first on this.
Folks, the things that matter to me are my family, my kids and my wife, my faith and my church, and this community. And I've shown that by working for the Collin County government for 22 years as a D, and I still work for them on the DWI and drug court program, that I go and serve many hours every single week. So I have the commitment to the police officers who've endorsed me, to the politicians who've endorsed me, and the lawyers who've endorsed me. And you can go to my website, davidwaddill.com, and see that. I have never run for anything before. I'm not a politician. I'm not smooth. Mr. Angelino's very smooth. Everybody knows it. But I will do my best if you elect me. And just like Jimmy said, I'll be there at 8 o'clock every morning, and I'll work until we're done. I hope you vote for me. Thank you.
Jimmy?
Well, I'm smooth not because I'm a politician, but because I'm a trial attorney. And that's the difference about trial attorneys, is that they can speak. First of all, I'd like to thank a couple of people who have actually helped me very much from the Golden Corridor. Dorinda Randall and Suzanne Blackstone. Without you, I
I wouldn't have a chance of being up here, so I wanted to thank you. I also want you to, the one thing I'd like you to do is look at my Facebook page, okay? I don't have big politicians backing me, but if you look on that Facebook page, you'll see hundreds of letters talking about people who have dealt with me as a prosecutor, who has dealt with me as a defense attorney, who has dealt with me as a soldier, who's put their lives in my hand. And I think that's much more important when you hear from other people on what kind of person you are, what your values are. I'm asking for your support, and I'm asking for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much.